Hello and welcome everyone, I'm Madals and today I've got game 1 of a best of 3 and it is going to be a ZvP. It should be really good fun because it has got an awesome Zerg player and a brilliant Protoss. So let me just get straight to the point and introduce these two. They're spawning on Daybreak, and in the lower left we've got the blue Zerg from Team Liquid. It's the little one. And his opponent spawning in the top right, the red Protoss from Team Neurosoft. It is Underdark. So yeah, Underdark, that's a pretty cool name. I like Underdark. It's like, it's not overdark, it's Underdark. I'm guessing that means that it's mildly light. Is that sort of like dusk? Underdark? It's, things to make you wonder. Anyway, but yeah, PVZ, what can we say about this matchup? What's going to be going on? What are the likely builds? Well, TLO has some really unique playstyles, I think it's fair to say. He's got very interesting techniques, strategies that perhaps other players don't try to utilize, which he may opt to do in this best of 3. I mean, one of his most interesting builds is his, of course, Nidus Swarm Host Queen play off of 2 bases. That's pretty funky. He can also just go straight up really nicely as well, and just ultimately try and go for some great play, just more macro orientated, use micro, use his army composition well. Underdark is someone I don't think I've seen before. I haven't cast any of his games, I know that much, and all in all, that just means that he is really going to be unexpected for me. I'm not quite sure what his playstyle will be. He's currently going for a gateway expand. That's going to allow him to put on some pressure, and as a result, it just means that TLO doesn't have to take his third quite as quickly because he's not trying to out-macro a Forge Fast expansion. A 1-gate expand also has the option of getting out a very, very quick Mothership Core if you want to put on a lot more aggression, say a Zealot, 2 Stalkers, something like that with a Mothership Core. It can be very, very difficult to deal with, or even just 2 Zealots and a Mothership Core can really cause a lot of problems, because if you manage to snipe off a Queen, then suddenly there's not very much anti-air to deal with that core, and quite a few drones can potentially go down. But as we see, the Pylon and the Nexus on their way from Underdark, just getting that expansion down really nice and quickly. So this gateway not actually being used for anything quite yet. He does have a gas on its way down. TLO will need to take this expansion at his third relatively quickly, probably talking about the 5 to 6 minute mark, just judging by this Nexus timing, which has now been scouted by the Overlord. Should now just come and position itself somewhere safely. This is at the back of the natural base, is actually a really good spot to put your Overlord, because then you can see the timings of the gas, and that's really beneficial, because once you know when the gas are coming down, you can really defend it quite well. So, as we've got here, the Cybernetics Core being placed on the low ground, just as part of the wall off, which is a little more interesting, because the one downside to putting this here is that should TLO be sending in a couple of Zerglings, it could very easily get sniped off, and that's not something that you'd want to lose. So, again, it's just an interesting thing. It doesn't really matter in this game because ultimately TLO is going very straight up. He's got his spawning pool down, he's got his hatchery down, and he's doing nothing but drone. His first 2 queens should hit the field shortly, and then we'll be getting more into the mid-game stages, and it's really up to then Underdark to transition the game into the way he wants, because TLO will be very responsive, and ultimately if Underdark sits back, I'd imagine that TLO will take his third base and just drone. So TLO is going to be looking and scouting to work out what sort of tech path the Protoss player goes for, be it just a lot of gateways, be it a Twilight Council for Blink research, be it a Robo to go for some Immortals, maybe into quick Colossi, or even a Stargate. They're all really viable options and things that can be very effective if a Zerg player doesn't respond to them appropriately and in time. But for the moment, we've just got the Zealot wandering over, coming down here to take the Watchtower, take a nice little look and say, yep, nothing down here, that's good. Gonna then come up and check the third, which TLO's just taking it, well, was looking to go and take in sort of the next 10-20 seconds once he's got enough money for it. But with a Zealot here, that will block it. That's going to force TLO to make a couple of Zerglings, and he's only got 2 on the way for the time being. He'll need at least 4 minimum in order to deal with this Zealot. More likely 6, especially when this Mothership Core comes over and the Stalker. Then it's actually going to require quite a few. And as a result, TLO's drone count will be lower, his third base will be delayed. He's going up to 6 now, 8 Zerglings. This is probably going to be enough to deal with it, but he's still going to have to be a little bit careful. He's getting this delayed quite heavily. The Overlord was coming to get a scout off, sees 2 additional gateways coming down, but that's all. And now spots the 3rd and 4th gas. Knowing that they're coming out is a good little hint. TLO now just pumping quite a few Zerglings. He does have speed on its way. This Zealot and Stalker do need to be quite careful. The Mothership Core clearly safe because of the only anti-air being Queens, but the concern for TLO is just that his third base is now delayed over a minute over when he was originally going to be taking it. So, this is all looking relatively fine going into the mid-game. If we take a look at the worker count, 36 to 38. That's good news for Underdark. He's staying there quite comfortably, but TLO now securing his third. It will take a while to get that up, but once it is there, should be okay. The Stalker does need to be very careful, taking a lot of damage, gets completely surrounded and will get taken out. That is a loss for killing essentially nothing, but with a couple more Zealots getting warped in from this proxy pylon, they're actually in quite a nice spot. A nice little time warp goes down, allowing these Zealots to kite backwards, do as much damage as possible. The Zealots, of course, going to be allowed to do quite a lot here. There are just 3 gateways, but this is just purely pumping out Zealots after Zealots with no Roach Warren. TLO is going to have a little bit of an issue here, going for the proxy pylon first, but this hatchery, this could potentially be forced to cancel, especially with just so many Zealots. 16, 18 now more Zerglings on their way down. 2 the ones already there. There goes down the cancel, so good delay on all of this. There is a pylon in the back, which TLO does not know about yet. He's trying to take the 3rd base in the front position here, the normal 4th, but of course with just so many Zealots and only Zerglings to try and stop them, it's going to be incredibly problematic for TLO here, because these Zealots are going to engage very cost effectively against Zerglings. A time warp goes down, yet again just trying to slow them, just trying to use themselves actually to back themselves against the wall. These Zealots are doing so much damage. They are starting to get surrounded by the Speedlings, but as we see, they are just engaging so well, killing so many Zerglings here. A good little bit of micro there. TLO being forced to make just so many more Lings, and ultimately this is all while Underdark is doing nothing but pump more and more probes. The next wave of Zealots are on their way through this 3rd base, which is getting retaken in the center. Probably going to be forced to cancel here. Now this next wave of Zealots has come in. We do have more Zerglings there, but there goes down the council. TLO trying to take the 3rd at the usual location at the same time. But such great pressure from Underdark. We can see the TLO losing about 50% more resources than that of his opponent. This proxy pylon still warping in yet more Zealots. A couple of Zerglings coming up there, but they're going to have to be very careful because, of course, even just a few Zealots can be very problematic. They also need to come back and try and defend this hatchery. What will Underdark do? Well, he's using the hatchery as a shield. The Zealots again just able to engage very, very effectively here. A Void Ray coming up behind this. TLO grabbing down a Nidus network. He's also got a Hydra Den and getting a lot of Hydralisks. They will engage incredibly effectively against this Gateway and Stargate optimized force. The Robo Bay has been... Was that cancelled or did it finish? No, it did finish. So that means the first Colossus can get started shortly, but there's still more and more Zealots on their way through. This 3rd, an obvious target. The Zergling count is not that high, but the first Ultra is just hitting the field now, and if they get down here in time, they can snipe off this Mothership core. They can deal a nice bit of damage to the Zealots and should be able to clean them up a lot better than the Zerglings alone. There we see the Mothership core is getting focused, but at what cost? And I know that's a cliche. A great transfuse comes down here, but the hatchery is getting very low. Should be saved just in time, but here comes the counter-attack from TLO. He's been on 2 bases for a long time, so he is going to go on the aggressive. He's got the Nidus Worm coming down. Does get spotted, though, by the Void Ray. Will the Void Rays and Sentries be able to get it before too many units get out? The answer, yes, they will. 1 Queen and a Hydra does manage to get out, though. But look at this. Underdark, 52 probes to 43 drones. That's a big advantage. TLO, though, trying to take his 4th base in the center. Another Nidus Worm coming out slightly further back. We've got Muscular Augments on its way. Already we see that, of course, the Group Spine upgrade is done. That's the Hydra range upgrade completed. The Void Ray, the Sentries. Where is the Void Ray? There was a Void Ray here. Where are you chilling, Void Ray? Well, there's one. The other one is still here, but here comes the Hydras. You've got to be careful. This Colossus is so vital to this engagement, but it is way too far forward. Some force fields do go down, but will not be able to save it. Just so many Zerglings streaming in. TLO getting a brilliant snipe off there on that Colossus. Exactly what he'd want to do. The Sentry's getting taken out as well, and now he can just move forward. 4 Sentries getting warped in, but this, well... What can you do against Hydras with range? Not very much. You can't outrange them with those force fields. Now the Cybernetics core does go down. The robotic facility getting focused. The Zergling's doing a great amount of damage. The Colossus will not pop in time. The Void Ray can die so quickly to these Hydras, and already a lot of damage has been done here by TLO. The only thing that hasn't really been killed so far is probes. Only a few going down for the time being. But if TLO keeps this aggression on, keeps reinforcing through that Nidus, then he is looking to be in a good spot. He's certainly hurt the tech. Only the Stargate remaining, and of course that just means that with the Cybercore down, that's got to be remade. The robotics facility got to be remade before any Colossi can come down. The Spire is about half done for TLO as well now, who is up to 4 bases. He needs to pump quite a few drones, and that's what we're seeing. A 9 drone wave on its way. That should take him up to just under 70. He can do a few more after that, but still just keeping on the pressure, forcing some cancels here of additional gateways, and start focusing down the gateway units that are on the field with these Hydras. Very, very cost effective. The Zealots we can see taking a large amount of damage. The force boats keep coming down, trying to keep the Zealots at bay, but not going to be able to do too much of a good job here because there's just more and more Zerglings streaming in, more gateways getting taken out. This is hurting the production of Underdark, who is now behind in supply. Another 7 drones coming out behind this. TLO playing this perfectly by putting on the aggression and droning behind it. It's a nice way to go. He's got a good tap and a good read on his opponent's army and just how much there is on the field, so he's very aware of any counterattacks that could be coming in. His Spire is now done, +1 flyer attack on its way down. Probably going to transition into Mutalisks, and the reason that's safe to do is because ultimately there is only Void Rays down and a handful of Stalkers. 5 Stalkers on the field is the only anti-air. That's just going to get shredded by Mutas, and 9 Mutas on their way out already. That number's just going to keep getting higher because TLO off of 8 gases. The Nidus still a threat. The Hydra's still a threat with the creep spread. Why you bring a queen with you with the Nidus is for this creep spread. It's very effective, and as we can see, it's allowing the Hydras to just kite all day long. Probably nearly actually getting a Zealot there. We'll go and finish it off before pulling back. This is keeping Underdark pinned away. There's even a Spore Crawler down here just trying to help. The third base is attempting to be taken. The creep spread was not there quite in time to stop it on its way out, but as we see, the Muta count just going to start creeping higher. We've got the Infestation Pit researching the Enduring Locust upgrade, which will just make them more effective, start besieging Underdark. And TLO is a big fan of going for those swarm hosts, and with the Mutas there as well, this is really going to be difficult for Underdark to deal with because he's going to want to get out a very different set of units to deal with the Mutalisk than he would with a swarm host. There won't be many Colossi. He's just going to be pumping as many Stalkers and possibly even Phoenix that he can, which won't be able to deal with those swarm hosts very easily at all. A war pit of Stalkers gets demolished, and now the probes just getting taken out so simply. The +1 flyer weapon hasn't even finished yet, but there's the GG, and game 1 goes to the little one. So that was game 1 of a best of 3. Flick over to my channel, find game 2. Before you go though, like the video, leave a cool comment, and of course subscribe. I'm Madals. I'll see you at game 2 any second.